8. I don't know how else to put it. I'm like, this is early bird special, but not as early as I wanted it to be. I had things to do earlier today that prevented me from starting it earlier. I thought I was going to start pretty early, and I guess I overshotted the time frames here. Give me a moment here. I'm just trying to get everything situated. I was actually going to start at 10 o'clock exactly. I had everything prepped and ready because I was getting everything going. And then the wife gave me a call needing help with her, starting up one of her seed stuff. So I was like, okay, I need to jump in on this. All right, so yeah, I'm a little bit late. Just make sure everything's going. Gonna launch off this tweet. Give it a couple minutes. We're gonna actually have a. I say it every single time. Oh, I'm gonna have a short stream, and it turns out to be it's not really that short. I don't know what else to say, but I'm gonna try and keep this one short because I only have Gundam X the review, and a couple of other things too. Yeah, you didn't see that. Yeah, like totally prepared for what's going on. But I hope you all are doing great this past week here. Been very busy, so yeah, kind of excited to finally get into another review. I was actually surprised I was able to get this one through, so I think my next one's even a bigger feat, to be honest. But I'll tell you that in a little bit. But we'll get kind of starting in just a little bit regarding the. Here we go. I was waiting for this to pop up here. Got my little stream manager going, even though it's kind of on my system here, but that's okay. Oh, and if anyone's curious yet, no, I haven't started up the podcast portion. It was funny that one of my I don't know anything about podcasting, right? I barely do podcasts. I've watched a couple of podcasts and I'm like, okay. And I was listening to one of our family friends. Well, I guess family. My cousin-in-law's boyfriend, basically, and he's like, "Oh, you should make it into a podcast." And I'm like, "Okay, I want to make it into a podcast." In the process of converting, I was trying to start the accounts first, so that way I can start slowly moving things over, like the most recent video, or in this case, recently converted podcast, and it requires some other stuff. So I'm like, "Oh man, it's gonna require things for me to do." In addition to that, I'm also working on a house project too, so I'm like, between my house project, my work, and fitting Gundam into my schedule, I'm very packed. So trying to convert this all into podcast has been very, very difficult. I have not even found any time this week whatsoever to do it. I'm hoping to find time, honestly, once I'm done with my project. Oh no, what do you want? If you don't keep making noises. Oh, you're gonna keep making noises. Okay, fine. No. We're not fighting. We're not fighting. Guys, it wants to fight. I'm gonna let you guys kind of watch it for right now. There we go. I'm gonna give you guys something fun to watch for right now. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to win. Please don't let me win. I really don't want to win. Please just lose against this. I have to censor myself for you too. Just win against this piece of no. Don't win against a piece of poo. I need you to lose. Oh god, he's gonna win. He won. I know he's gonna win because no. Uh-oh. I don't think he's supposed to level up. Oh no, he went to level 4. That's no good. I apologize. Let me just find something out really fast. I'm not gonna cut the stream. I totally should cut the stream here, but so yeah, just to give you guys some like fun facts about like like this whole Digimon stuff. It's kind of fun. I enjoy it. It's like Pokemon. The only difference between Pokemon and Digimon is like you're more focused on capturing them. Yes, there's some evolutions that you got to do through Pokemon, right? Like where you gotta like level them up and all that fun stuff. But it's not at the same level, right? Oh, you know what? That's absolutely fine because I show you guys, right? I am actually trying to get to Metal Tyrannomon Right now, I'm currently at Gromon X. I am trying to get it to Middle Tyrannomon. I already did the 14 clear stages. I just need to get 3 care mistakes. I got 1. And I need to get to level 6, so I just went to level 4, as you saw. So that's pretty cool. By the way, I was thinking about maybe doing some live streams of Digimon evolutions and stuff like that, just for fun. I don't know if anyone's truly interested or not. You never know. But I thought it'd just be fun to, like, capitalize on the adventures that I am having with this game, because it's absolutely fun. I am enjoying playing on my little Digimon game. Unfortunately, yes, it does interfere with things such as my live stream right now. Digimon does not take up too much time or anything like that, but it's kind of cool. Those who are curious, yes, I do rock mine. This is like mine and my wife's, and then I have my own Digimon X. If you guys watch my Digimon X review, yeah, we only have one. That's mine. And I'm actually planning on, not planning, I'm gonna get the Vital Bracelet too, just to give that a shot. That seems like a lot of fun. Seems kind of cool. So I want to give that a shot. Anyways, I think I gave enough time here. How much time has gone by here? 6 minutes. Oh man. Okay. So without much further ado, hey there, and welcome to another Nerdy Reviews. I'm the nerd. Bloopers included, folks. Bloopers included. I'm like, I should just run. Too much. I try to focus on perfection for doing the YouTube portion, and at the same time, I'm like, I know the last few live streams might not have been that fun to watch, just because I kept on flubbing up and I just kept running with it. I really should just say screw it and just run with it and have a lot of fun with just reviewing, right? So that's honestly, I'm gonna try and do Gundam X a little bit different. So with that said, let's go ahead and begin here. Hey there, welcome to Nerdy Reviews. I'm the Absolute Nerd, and today we're going to be reviewing After War Gundam X. Now, before I begin with the review, let me just drop off a couple of things here. If you haven't already, you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to follow me on my Twitch account here. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys what you think about this series, or if you've never even heard of it, or anything like that. And for 4 Gathers, thanks for following me. Appreciate the follow. Hope you enjoyed the show. So let's just go ahead and begin real quickly and briefly with the story regarding Gundam X. So this is another AC universe, or AU universe to be more specific. I apologize. This is set in the AW, or After War 15. Gerald Rand, our titular character right here, takes up the wrong job that gets him involved with a mercenary group and on the run from forces that are out to get them both. Now, the story does evolve furthermore from there, but that's just the basic premise. It kind of still stays the same with that underlying as the storyline, as the story does grow. And I don't want to give too much away, but it does involve our 3 characters right here. So we got Gerald Rand, we got Tifa, and then we got Jamil. I hope I say his name correctly, because the way his name is spelled is not the way I imagined, like how it sounds right, but it is what it is. So with After War Gundam X, it's a 39-episode series that was originally aired in Japan back in 1996. This is the 3rd and final series in the mid-90s Gundam block that takes place in an alternative timeline instead of in the Universal Century. Like I mentioned already, this takes place in AU, or AW, which is After War. This is also the 2nd series in the entire Gundam franchise that was canceled, hence the 39 episodes. It was originally planned to be a 50-episode run. Unfortunately, with the low ratings that it got after its initial run, I think it was past the first 10 episodes or so, the ratings did dive down. So Sunrise decided to cut ties at that point and cancel the series. The series had a remainder of episodes left, so they rounded off to the 39 episodes and then went from there. This does impact how the series does play out, and I'll touch about that just a little bit. But it's really important to know that this series was canceled, and what we got seems like an unfinished product, but it's not terribly that bad, actually. This also, speaking with the cancellation of the Gundam X series, this also cuts the 4-year long-running streak that Sunrise was having with the Gundam franchise. Every single year since 1993 to 1996. Oh, sorry, that was no, sorry. Yeah, it was it's 4 years. I think it was like 92 to 93 is when Victory Gundam, if I'm not mistaken here. But what I had from my sources I pulled, it was 4 years running streak with Victory Gundam, G Gundam, Gundam Wing, and then Gundam X ending everything. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 3 series streak in 3 years, or 4 series streak in 3 years. God, that's a tongue tire. But with Gundam X being canceled, this does cancel out that little streak that Sunrise was having, and the next Gundam series that would ever air or appear on television would be 3 years later with Turn A Gundam. So it's kind of a little bit of a gap right there. Now, with the series itself, I do want to point out the animation. The animation's actually not that bad, considering that we came after Gundam Wing, which is a very stark difference between like Victory Gundam and G Gundam of the time, and then the year after, 95, with Gundam Wing. Animation was a lot different between the flush but flurious color, or like coloring and inking, to very hard line, starchy kind of colors and hard lines. Gundam X kind of does a little bit of both. So we have a shot here with Jamil here, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where it's kind of like Gundam Wing, where we got a lot of these starchy-esque colors and a lot of the hard lines. But then we get to other shots like this. I'm sorry, I wanted to show off the Frost Brothers a bit too, but we get to another shot like this where we're in the open day, or even like there'll be times where we're in like snowy areas where it's a little bit more flush with the colors. So but we still got a lot of those like interesting lines. This one's a lot more softer. It looks more akin to like G Gundam, I would say. Not too much like Victory, but more towards G Gundam. Again, we got kind of, it mixes between these three here. Here's a scene here with the Frost Brothers. I can't remember what scene this was specifically, but you can see what I'm talking about when we got a lot of these little harder lines. The colors in this one is like a little bit of a blend between the two. So we got a lot more of a starchy color from this one. We got more of a flushed out color on this. And then this one's a lot more of that nice contrast and control. So the series kind of fluctuates with its animation. It becomes more noticeable, I want to say, towards the latter episodes, which make more sense. So you could tell a little bit of the difference between like the beginning. It's weird. Beginning has a little bit of a funny animation, then the mid portion of the series, or a good portion of the series, seems to have that more consistency. And then towards the end, we kind of get something like this in the sense. But that's something I just want to talk about with the animation. Honestly, the animation's not that bad, especially for a 1996 series. I actually liked it. Definitely nothing compared to any of the OVA series that were released at that time, such as 8th MS Team, which has a lot more harder, contrastier colors, much more defined features. Not quite the same, but still good animation, in my opinion. This series is only available in subs, or Japanese. It isn't available in the Japanese language, subs only for English. So that's how I actually got to watch the series. This is the second time I've actually watched this series. And considering what the voice actors and voice actresses I heard in the series, it's not bad. I mean, I enjoyed it. Everybody felt like they fit their roles perfectly. And when those really, really, not high and dry, but those emotional moments that occur, it really hits those moments. They did a fantastic job capturing a lot of that emotion or feeling with their depictions through their voices. So I think everybody who voice casted in the series did a fantastic job. I got nothing to really complain or say anything about it. As for the music of this series, it's a hit and miss. A lot of the music reminds me of like it's kind of like polarized, right? We get a lot of these 90s-esque music, kind of like 90s-esque. I feel almost 80s almost, but it's 90s-esque. And then we got these 90s-esque, super cheesy romantic music. So like you got the super actiony openings of Gundam X, which I love the openings of Gundam X. They're really fun openings. And then you get the main series itself. So you get, like a lot of the music that really sets a lot of the tone and atmosphere for every single moment. Although some of them kind of feel out of place, but it goes along with the characters. So Again, I can't really fault it terribly too much, but it's not 100% my cup of tea, right? And then you get the ending music, which is completely different from majority of the series until like we get to some portions of the series, and it gets all this cheesy, romantic 90s-esque kind of music. So I was like, okay, right on. I really do have to say though, in tune with the 90s-esque music too, I really do like how they do the transition. So here's a really weird one. So when I talk about transition, I'm talking about like the opening and closings, right? The opening is very different than any other Gundam series I've seen. It has a hard title. It just says After War Gundam, or no, it says just Gundam X, if I remember correctly. And then it goes straight to the storyline, right? It goes straight to like either like previously or just playing what starting us off on a new arc. And then we'll get the opening sequence. Then after all that, we get to the end credits, right? And when the end credits roll, it rolls and it has a preview box. So you're watching the credits alongside with the preview, and you're getting the narration with the end credits music. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We haven't seen this in Gundam at this current time frame yet. Usually we just get the end credits and then the preview for the next episode. So they kind of merge the two together in that, which is kind of nice. The other thing I thought was kind of nice was that the episode titles themselves. So if you watch the previews, the episode titles are actually quotes from the next episode. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. I'm the kind of guy who laughs at like movies, for an example, that just says the name in the title of the name in the movie. So I kind of got a laugh while watching watching Gundam X, playing off the episode titles based off a quote from the episode. So I'm like, well, I mean, you kind of see it in the previews, but I usually skip the previews after I watch at least once, and I skip the previews. But I'm kind of like, where is this quote gonna fall in? Ah, there it is. There's the quote. Ah, there's the title of the episode. I just had fun doing that. It's stupid and cheesy, but I enjoy it. But I thought that was something unique about Gundam X that they haven't done in the Gundam franchise at this current point in time yet. So that was kind of cool. Another like technical aspect I kind of want to touch on too was the sound effects of this series. A lot of the sound effects now, it's not that it's uncommon that a lot of mech series borrow sound effects or specific like noises or even music too from other series. I just feel like Gundam EXO wasn't as original comparative to like all the other Gundam series at that current time frame. Why I say this because a lot of the sound effects I hear sounds like it's coming like from Votom, so I'm hearing like like the treading, like the dash treads of the scope dogs, certain mechanical sound effects that were done for the mechs when they move around sound very much like something from Votom's. So I thought that was just kind of interesting, unique. I think also like some of the gunfire, like from the Gundam Leopard, for an example, were sound effects that came from like a scope dog's rifle, for an example, too. So I thought that was like another thing that was kind of interesting that like stuck out. I'm like, I haven't watched Votoms in a while, but that's a very familiar sound, and I know where exactly that came from. Because usually with mech series, like there are certain sound effects that are very specific or distinct to our suits, right? Like you hear a Gundam beam rifle, it's very distinct sound effect. You hear certain mechanical movements, you can indicate what suit it is almost, or like if it's a Gundam, or if it's a Zaku, or if it's a GM, depending on like the sounds the mech makes when it moves. Those sort of things. So that was kind of weird that a lot of the sound effects, again, used for our mechs, used for a lot of our shooting sound effects or explosions, came from like Votoms. Other than that, Gundam X is a overall kind of like a interesting series. It's a very big, hard spin and a what if the Federation and Zeon took it to the extreme, like dial that turn that dial from a 10 to 11 in terms of what they were going to do. So the you get this in the very beginning episodes. I'm not spoiling much, but it's basically like, if I remember the names correctly, it was the Space Revolution Army, and then the Alliance. I can't remember if it was the Alliance or not. I'm getting things kind of mixed up here. But you got the two forces, and they're fighting so hard against each other because, you know, that's how wars are. But when they fight against each other so hard, we have it's the not Earth Federation. It's like Earth Alliance. I can't remember what it was, and actually, maybe I'll be able to find out real quick. I'm gonna cheat. United Earth Nations. That's what it was, or the new United Earth Nations at the time. At the time of the series, or in the beginning, United Earth Nations, right? And they escalated it harder with the Gundam X's and the other Gundams that they introduced, and then the Space Revolutionary Army X, like, instead of doing, it's like Operation British, quite literally Operation British times like 10 plus. I don't know how many colonies they dropped, but like they showed at the very beginning, like, oh yeah, Earth escalated and then the space colonies escalated, and they just dropped not just one colony, they dropped a ton of colonies. And that's what we gotta get with Gundam X, is that huge what if, like what if the war went to the extremes and how that would turn out. And so what we get in the world of Gundam X, I want to say Turn X, Gundam X. The world of Gundam X is very much an apocalyptic-esque world where people are just meagerly surviving. You got like these little like villages or little cities like thriving for the most part, and you got a lot of people who are basically like mercenaries, or in this case they're called vultures or orcs, depending where you're what land or sea you are. But you'll get like vultures like Jamil here, who would take up jobs to fund themselves, but they'll do all kinds of jobs, some good and some not so great. And then you got people like Gerard, I can't say his name correctly. It looks weird. I want to say Gerald, but there's no L. Gerard, very much is just kind of like in the middle. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do my thing, either hijack mobile suits and sell them to make money, or just, you know, trying to make a mercenary's life. So it was kind of an interesting perspective, and I feel a lot of what Gundam X feels like Fist of the North Star meets Gundam, and then they mesh that together. I think that first half of the series really does a fun thing. This is where I say it's a lot of fun watching it, because it's a different world in a different tone, or different atmosphere and tone compared to any other Gundam series at this time. That's what I kind of like and enjoy about the AU series. As much as I love the Universal Century, AU stuff really like refreshes things and kind of puts a new spin on the Gundam universe, and it's a lot of fun. I kind of want to revisit some of the world, like universes. Like I would love to see a future in After War, because it definitely has a lot of interesting perspectives into it, and definitely want to see where it goes in the future. Unfortunately, what all we have right now is this series, and if I'm not mistaken, here a couple of manga that were spin-offs / sequels to Gundam X. Oh well. Let me give me a second here. I'm just trying to catch up to where I have myself here. Now, I kind of already mentioned this already with Gundam X. We deal with this Fist of North Star meets Gundam kind of a thing. And I mentioned that was like the first half of it. The other half of the series kind of tends to go back to its original tendencies, with Gundam being very heavy in the politics of war and factions and stuff like that. But it doesn't come into play till much later in the series. What really is the driving focus, and this is where I'm like, well, it kind of ties back to the original Gundam, and Gundam, or Turn A Gundam, does a nice job of tying everything back together. But new types are in this series, so you would kind of think it's a little bit weird, and like, how are new types really here if it's not part of the Universal Century? So if you watch my Gundam, or Turn A Gundam review, you're gonna know that everything ties in together. But I'm not gonna go dive into Turn A right now. We're gonna talk about X. Give me 1 second here. Ooh, sorry about that. All right, so where am I at? I'm trying to remember where I left off here. I apologize. That's right. So we're talking about so when it comes to the whole concept that they bring in with new types, you could almost make a drinking game out of this. They really drive home with the whole concept of new types. Later, not even later on in the series, like only a few episodes into the series, we get the whole idea of what our crew of the Frieden is going to do, which is Jamil's mission to rescue any and all new types. And it's ridiculous how many times you hear the word new type in this series. I think I've heard the word new type said in this series more times than the original Gundam and Zeta Gundam combined. I wanted to throw ZZ Gundam, but I think ZZ Gundam would outcount the amount of times they say the word new type. I think they average more, they average saying new type at least 5 times an episode or more. I stopped counting at points, but they say it a lot in this series, and it gets more frequent towards the end of the series. So new types are the driving force of this series. Jamil being a new type alongside with Tifa here. Not spoiling a whole lot, folks. Don't worry about it. It's covered like in the first few episodes, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But their mission is the search out for new types and rescue them or stop them. And they really drive a lot more with the whole new type nuance and the tones and themes as we progress. It gets more and more heavier with them, and it ties right back to a lot of core elements and themes from the Gundam franchise as an overall. I don't want to talk too much on that because I don't want to spoil too much of the series. Believe me when I say that, though, that it's kind of odd that at first it doesn't seem like it's going to go a whole lot into the Gundam mythos, especially with this kind of Fist of the North Star apocalyptic-esque world storytelling, but it gets there somehow. And I find that very, very interesting because I was like, okay, this could be a completely brand new series. This could be completely weird. It's going to be like G Gundam. Nothing I'm going to expect from this. And bam, it does full circle come back to the Gundam mythos, the core elements of the Gundam franchise. So I like that a whole lot. Unfortunately, though, as we come along, there's a big problem with that, though, and that really dumbs down to the pacing of the series. The first half of the series, I want to say at least the first 20 episodes, is a bit of a grind. Not like a bad grind, though. I mean, like, it takes a while where it wants to go with the story. Like, after the first few episodes, like I mentioned, we kind of get an idea of what the Freedens, that's the name of the ship, the crew of the Freeden, their mission that they want to do is to free or rescue new types, like Tifa. So we go about that, but it goes about it in a very slow pace. Some people complain about it. I don't complain about it necessarily because I actually like the slow pace because we get to take our time with our characters. We actually have some singular focused episodes on some of our characters, which I like a lot because I like paying attention to our characters more than what's going on in the world. In a sense, because we want to build our connection with our characters, right? We want to care about them because if we're not invested in them, then why do we care about watching the series overall, right? That's at least how I feel about it. And not to say that there's not enough action in the series, and I'll get to that in a little bit too, but primarily on the pacing, I think they did a fantastic job pacing-wise. How I feel about it, between the first 20 episodes, I feel like it was a right amount between giving enough time with our characters, talking about the story, and then having the action in all that. So it's a nice, good sandwich, in my opinion. Past the 20th episode, though, I would say it gets really, really more noticeable about episodes 28 or so. That's when the cancellation starts to kick in, and then things kind of flip around. So the pace of the story becomes like a lot more like condensed down, and it feels really, really fast. At points, it kind of reminds me almost, not the same level, but pretty much reminds me a lot like compilation movies of the Gundam franchise, where things kind of happen and you just kind of accept it, not so much as like, okay, whatever, we're not just gonna move along with the story, right? Not enough time for you as a viewer to digest it or enjoy it or really rationalize it. A lot of the actions that the characters do feel very not convoluted. It feels very forced, very contrived, is what I would get at. I mean, it makes sense for the characters, but it just, as we know them for the first 20 episodes, and then we get to the 28th and beyond, it feels very contrived for them. It feels very forced. And it's not like, oh, why did they do that? I mean, no, it makes sense that they would do that, but it just feels way too fast. And it makes sense because the series is getting canceled. So they're trying to scoot along as fast as they can throughout the entire story to hit the deadline and finish telling the story. So it's like a hit and miss. It feels like there's more action going on that helps drive the story and the pacing, and then just trying to link things together. And it feels like the director is more or less hoping that the viewers who are already familiar with the characters of the first 20 episodes or so would be able to understand what's going on beyond that, because the characters are going to start doing a lot of actions that if you weren't paying attention in the series, it would feel like, why are they doing this? It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, no, it makes sense. If you've been paying attention, like, you'll know that this is what, in this particular moment, this character would be doing this, and that makes absolute sense. But I could see where a lot of people kind of get like frustrated with Gundam X, or not really like it because of the pacing at that point, and a lot of things just kind of go out the window. I also want to say this too. I mentioned about Votoms earlier in regards to the sound effects. The ending of this series, the last 2 episodes, reminds me a lot of the last couple of episodes of Votoms itself. I will not spoil in either series for you folks in this particular review, but eventually I will talk about it in a future review / when I do like a theory thing or whatnot. Or a theory dive into Gundam X. But believe me when I say this, that the ending is, they're very much similar, not the same, but very similar, and it's just kind of an odd coincidence I kind of picked out, where we're getting sound effects of Votoms, we're in an apocalyptic kind of world, and then we have an ending that's very similar. Votoms, while it takes place in multiple planets, is very apocalyptic in itself in many of its settings, be it in a city, in a jungle, a dead planet, or on an ancient planet. They're all pretty apocalyptic in some manner or form. You then also have, of course, the sound effects of Votoms itself, and then you get the ending. I wonder if Gundam X is trying to be original or not, or are they treading on something that was already done? I don't know. I'm speculating here, but you see where I'm saying where there's some kind of similarities, at least in that regards. That said, though, as I already mentioned too, the action in the series, though, is what really is a good driving force for it too. So if the story is not so much your thing, the action is actually really there for this series. I actually enjoyed a lot of the action sequences. There's a lot of fun fighting here. It does get a little bit exciting. While our Gundams do seem kind of invincible, they are not invulnerable, though. They can get damaged, they can get destroyed. So I thought that was kind of cool to watch a lot of that stuff, and it makes it exciting. I get kind of amazed, because at first I thought this was going to be like a lame series. Like, oh man, what are they going to do? It's post-apocalyptic with Gundam. How are they going to make this fun? How are they going to make this interesting? They find ways to make this interesting. They find ways to make this really fun, and they do this consecutively throughout the episodes. I am never disappointed about the action throughout the entire series. I think if there's one thing that's going to be consistent besides talking about new types and the underlying tones that eventually drive to the core themes of the Gundam franchise, is definitely the action. The action of this series is, again, I keep saying it in a lot of my other reviews, but it's a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed watching the action here. I just want to talk about a couple of things here. I do want to mention that this series probably has one of my most favorite episodes in the entire Gundam franchise. Episode 15, which is a backstory, not really a backstory, it's like a kind of a backstory with a future telling. It's like one of those kind of episodes. I don't know how to describe it unless you watch it. And it's featuring our other 2 Gundam pilots, which is Robea and Wheats. I really enjoyed their backstories and the lead-ups of what happened. This episode is a catalyst for them going forward into the series, but man, that's a really good episode. I can't believe how much it's great storytelling alongside with the action that does come along with it too. So definitely a top series I really enjoyed. Correction, not top series, top episode. Give me one moment here. I'm getting another attention. Yay, I get a present. Again, for those who care. I just got some kind of AP thing or whatnot. But I just want to show you guys. Sorry. I had to stop what I was doing. Pay attention, because I have one more day for evolution on this guy, and eyes are on this guy. I need to get injuries. Anyways, continuing with the review. Apologize for that. Now, some of the things I've already mentioned were kind of like, it's positives and faults at the same time. There is one major fault I had with this series itself. Not it's not a huge one though, but it really irked me for the longest time, which was the character of Enel. Enel is a female mercenary who has a straight blood boiling rage against Garrod. Um, and I always found that her anger and her motivation as a character, especially towards Garrod, did not make any sense whatsoever. Long story short, she basically hates his guts with a burning passion because this kid right here spurred her advances and didn't have a crotch rocket explosion for her. Okay, you had other guys who were coming on to her in the entire series, and then she's coming after Garrod, and he spurs her, and that's what motivates her to want to kill him. Right, and then also wanting to kill the crew of the Freedom and all that stuff. I just could not understand or get behind that mentality. But I try to dumb it down, like in a post-apocalyptic world where no one cares about a lot of things, and they're just trying to survive. I suppose the most pettiest of emotions, or the pettiest of insults to one's emotion, can spur them to that level. So I try to understand and rationalize this character and what was her motivation. I'm like, because other than that, it really, at this point in time and everything, it just did not make sense whatsoever. And I felt like, why did she even bother? Why is she doing all of this and putting everybody in danger for her grudge against Gara? It baffled me, but I'm like, okay, well, let's take ourselves out of our own shoes here, put ourselves into their shoes, and then furthermore, there's not a whole lot of too much of a backstory about Enel that we get. We do get something in the series, but I feel like this driving force, because she is kind of like the Team Rocket almost to the series. She's a reoccurring antagonist, and I just can't get behind why she's that determined to kill the crew of the Freedom, but specifically Garrod. I just couldn't get behind that. But that's all I have to say about Gundam X as an overall of a series itself. But I do want to jump over to our next little segment here, which, if you're familiar, is my favorite suits of the series. Now, if you're familiar with my reviews, or you're not familiar, let me just tell you this. With every single Gundam series into the Gundam franchise, it brings a whole new slew of mobile suits, new designs, redesigns, battleships, those sort of things. Gundam X is no different to this rule. It's another one of those series that does bring in a whole new amount of mechs. There are some positives and negatives to that, though. I do want to say, when it comes to the suits and whatnot that do come out for this series, a lot of the suit designs are not that great. They're pretty ugly. Let me show you an example. One of the first, no, this is not the first suit that we see. I'll show you the first suit that we see, and unfortunately, it's a redesign of a suit that I hold near and dear. It is the Genis. And if you take a quick look at that, you're gonna notice real fast, what does that look like, folks? That looks like a Zaku 2, or a Zaku, or anything that belongs in the Zaku family. It does have that mono eye, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember, because you usually see it like this, you don't really see a red eye. Apologize for that. But it's not that great. I mean, like, I think the one thing that really bothers me is just the head design. I mean, the overall, like, mech, yeah, I like my bulky suits, but I like my bulky suits with definition or texture with details, right? That you could see it. The suit, and even the series itself, too, looks kind of ugly. It looks uglier in motion. This is very cleaned up, but it just looks like a blob of green. It doesn't have any defined features to it, like really good defined features that you can spot out. It meshes too well with itself, and it's not that great looking, in my opinion. Something also about giving a mobile suit a mustache. I mean, with the exception of Turn A, no, the mustache, no go. I mean, I can't. Well, I got a beard actually, but still, no, not great on the suit. Yeah, on the suit. But this is the first suit that we see, and it's not that fantastic looking. It doesn't get any better because then we get to what is the GM class suits, the Daughters. You see what I mean? I'll put it this way: big boots, big kneecaps, big hips, and then like a weird body, like everything like big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small. It looks kind of weird. And then you put the cherry on the top, which is the head. I mean, literally, it's a cherry. There's your stem, and then there's the cherry itself. What's up with the camera, the head system? Like a lot of the heads that you see from like I keep wanting to call them Federation, but the United Nations suits look a lot like this, and they're very they're ugly. Here, get another one right here. You see what I mean? It's really wonky, not that fantastic looking designs. I didn't care for a lot on the mobile suit designs. Before I get to some of my favorites, I do want to talk about at least honorable mentions, and I'm going to actually start off with this too, as it's funny enough, I'm going to show you like some of these forms, but a lot of the Gundams is what I'm going to be primarily talking about, because that's the only thing I actually like from this series as design-wise. But you're going to notice a trend here. Right here I have is the Gundam Astron's Hermit Crab. This is the upgraded form of the Gundam Astron. You're going to start seeing a trend here. For some odd reason, I find it though, but some odd reason, the upgraded forms of the suits look like or trash. And the first forms of these suits are really cool looking. So I mean, Gundam Astron, I'm not going to close this just off, but I'll just try to, I do want to mention Astron because I like my transforming mobile suits. This also looks like a Big Row almost. Like a Big Row mixed with a Zaccarello almost. Not really Zaccarello. One of the two. It's kind of like a mix mash because Zaccarello does, you know what? Volvero mixed with a Big Row. There you go. That's a better way of putting it because it has like the Volvero's arms-esque. And kind of like the Big Row's design, just a little bit more stretched out instead of more of a stout nose. But I thought it was kind of a cool design. The only thing I didn't care about the Astron, honestly, is like how it has the pincers. You're going to notice here also in the first form, which I think looks cooler, because when it transforms, I actually like the transformed form more than I liked this one right here. In addition to that, when it's untransformed, because this looks like a gaudy suit that makes no sense, this one does. Like, it uses these little pincer arms to, like, snap suits in half. Kind of like a crab, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's the Squidward, not Squidward, I'm sorry, the Zoidberg of the suits. But this one just kind of overkilled it, and it just didn't look appeasing as a suit. But I only really mentioned it because I liked it as a transformable suit. I think this is if I remember correctly, this is the only one that was a transformable suit. I don't recall seeing anything else that transformed. There was another like fighter-based thing, but it never transformed. And there's a Bergito in this series, but it doesn't really transform. It goes kind of like from like arms and legs to like a star form. Kind of reminds me of a flux capacitor. Here's another thing too. This is the Gundam Versago brake chest. It's the upgraded version of it. It looks not that bad. If you guys have watched my previous episodes regarding Gundam Wing or G Gundam, you're gonna kind of notice that the villain suits, the antagonistic suits, at least one of them, is gonna feature this red and black design with horns, like devil-esque, right? With this 90s block, G Gundam, Gundam Wing, and we have now Gundam X, Gundam, in G Gundam, we have Master Gundam, Gundam Wing, we have Epion, and now we have with Gundam X is the Versago Gundam. I will also show you its first form right here. But you see what I mean, where they kind of have these, like, it's a horn designed with a black and red color scheme. Might not be 100% the same, but I mean, like, there's some similar features. The horns like this can be seen from, like, the Master Gundam or Epion. The claws right here can definitely be seen from, an example would be Gundam Epion. The wings that you have right here could be akin towards either, you could say, Epion or Master, but you see what I'm saying, where there's a lot of similarities between the main mid-90s core block of Gundam series that were released. I do want to show you, like, it's not really a transformer, but like when it gets into its mega beam cannon, right? It does this like devil-esque look. So like something like the devil from Disney's Fantasia or something like that. You see what I mean? Like it kind of has this like cool aspects to it. It's an okay suit overall. I got nothing else to really talk about. It's not really my favorite designs. But I do want to talk about my favorite Gundams. And here we go. And it's going to kind of be weird, but this one's an honorable mention, not my favorite, because I actually like... Oh no, where do we have you? I'm sorry. I don't know how this got all mixed up and jumbled. I apologize. But the Gundam Double X. So my favorite actually of the two is actually the Gundam X. I didn't care about Double X. In fact, there's a lot of things I didn't like about Double X versus X. Now, I mean, I could say I like a little bit more of the Divide X, but I actually like the original X itself. The thing about like Double X here, and like some fans go, why don't you like Double X more than X? I'm like, here's a couple things. It's a really bulky looking suit. A lot of its armaments and the features, like it doesn't really do a whole lot of like fighting per se. It's very base level fighting. Nothing really cool or exciting that it does. It just uses, it doesn't have much of a shield. I think it has like let me try and see if I can pull the shield here. It's a really tiny, itty bitty little shield here. And like it shoots at times. It doesn't really, it kind of uses, it's cool. I like the beam saber it has. It's got a nice little grip. Let me see if I can pull that out. Got this cool little grip that like it detaches, like it pops off from the hip. Like you can see where it sockets off. And the beam itself, it's really cool with the beam saber. But I'm like, other than that, like the Gundam X doesn't really, Double X. I have to say Double X. Double X doesn't really do a whole lot, and it's kind of sad. Yes, its twin satellite cannons are a beast. They are scary cool. But in all honesty, it's okay. I really don't like, I like little gems in the front of the suit for some odd reason, but this thing looks too much like a kind of like a windshield for like a helicopter slash jet, and it just doesn't gel with me when I'm looking at a suit that's fully standing, and it's not even a transformable suit. Granted, if it does its twin buster satellite cannons, that's it. Here, let me pull it. There you go. When it does its twin satellite cannons, I mean, it's okay. I really like though the Gundam X. Something about the design itself, again, it has that little gem in the front. I think the body reminds me a lot, the main body reminds me a lot like the Wing Gundam and stuff like that. Its fighting capabilities are actually pretty neat, even though it got upgraded to the Divide. I actually like this one because I like how the backpack functioned. Like, the backpack had this weird, like, swivel motion. So besides going into, let me see if I can get it to satellite cannon mode, right? So besides going to satellite cannon mode, it can actually, like, turn itself around, like kind of like, if this is the backpack, it'll pop off and then switch around, right? And then pop down. So, like, for example, like, this backpack will pop down. The sword is right here. It will pop down to here, so Garrod would pull it out like that. And I'm like, that's so cool. So the sword can be popped out from any other direction. I thought it was kind of fun where it was doing a lot of these, like, unique actions for the most part. Other than that, it's weird when I say this, because I feel like even though Gundam X didn't get a whole lot of rise and shine, and then when it goes to Divide, between the two, they're kind of similar, but I just like the design and look of Gundam X versus Divide. And kind of the same suit, they fight in a much more unique way, and there's a lot more excitement watching Gundam X fight versus Double X. That's my 2 cents on that, but I mean, rounding it off, I like the Gundam X. Coming in our number 2 spot, and you're gonna see again this trend, is the Leopard Gundam. Now, I showed you the Destroy first because I didn't care for the Destroy mode. I actually like the original. It's kind of weird because, like, the original, this thing, does it show it now? Let me see. The way that it's Gatling arm attaches, it locks the whole entire arm in, so the whole entire arm becomes like a Gatling gun itself. It's like a weird version of heavy arms. In fact, a lot of these suits are very reminiscing towards suits that we've seen in the past. Yes, Gundam Leopard is pretty much a different redesign of heavy arms itself, and I find my guilty pleasure in seeing suits that, have machine guns or like firing like crazy amounts of missiles and machine guns and stuff. I like that. I don't know why. I really like the Leopard. It was a simple design. It's got the little gem on the chest. And then, it has got 2 missiles hidden on the front, like the arm piece, like the little chest pieces right here. It's got the cool little cannons on it. The cannons are like okay, they're not bad, but this thing just sold it for me. It really, really sold that suit. Leopard, of course, is an upgraded form. It just doesn't look as cool when it's in full form because it has these like weird. It's a weird backpack that like attaches the guns to the hand, and you're like, it's okay. I just also like how they changed the color on the Leopard too, from that teal-esque color to this red. I didn't care much for it. I also felt like when I look at it, it had less amount of equipment than it does. It actually has more. I mean, like, it has all these missiles right here, some additional missiles right here. We got new cannons right here. Are they beams? I can't remember. But honestly, I can't actually tell because a lot of the shots kind of look the same. And sometimes they intersplice the sound effects for the weapon. So like it's hard to tell, like, is it a beam or is it a cannon? And we don't get to see a whole lot of the Leopard too. So Leopard Destroy specifically. But I mean, again, it's that trend that I have with Gundam X. It's so weird. I don't care for the upgraded forms. I like the original forms better. And definitely Leopard 2 hits my Gundam Leopard hits my number 2 spot. But if we're going to talk about my absolute favorite suit from this series, it's a growing trend with myself as well, but if you haven't already know, I love transformable mobile suits. So the first one I want to show is the second form of it, because I have a hard time picking between this one is actually legit where I had a hard time picking between the first or second form. It's really, really hard for me. Because I really do like the burst form of Airmaster. And I love it when it transforms because it's got these additional portions to it. It looks lame, right? So trust me when I say this. It looks lame like this because we're kind of getting more of a aerial side shot. But most of the times when we're seeing it fight or fly around, we're seeing it from the front view. So it looks like a legit, like really cool looking jet that's shooting and stuff like that. Or like some base level where it has like, you can see like the beam rifles. Let me show you on the Airmaster. Love the Airmaster's design. I'm sorry, but like, see it like that. So we get a lot of this front aerial view. I really enjoy and love the design of that. Love transformable suits, even though this suit is so basic. It's so basic, even Gundam X has more features than this. Because the only thing Airmaster has going for it is transforming, and it's dual beam rifles. That's it. I do believe we did get some more armaments with the burst, but nothing else. I don't even think I've ever seen it use a beam saber whatsoever. I know it didn't have it in its first form. Can't remember if it was in the secondary or not. Yeah, this suit does not have a beam saber. It's so weird. Fixed armaments, let me just double check. Yeah, it does not, because I'm like, I could swear it did use melee at one point, but I think it's because someone saved him and it's not him using his own melee. Wheat's using melee. But yeah, it's like it primarily is just a flying transformable suit that can shoot double beam rifles. Now the double beam rifles, I can lose or miss, but like I just love that I can transform and it has all that firepower. But between the two, like you can see, like try and look at this design right here, right? Maybe I should do a side by side. Let's do a side by side. Yeah, can I get it to work? There we go. Like side by side here, right? Let me see if I can I get a second. Oh no, if I do my second screen, I apologize. So I'm gonna scroll this one up a little bit and then we're gonna do a little comparison. There we go for you guys. We do the side by side. I really do. I'm like, even though I like the color scheming for Burst, the original Airmaster is where it's at for me. I love the overall design. The chest kind of looks a little bit different. I think maybe it's the coloring that kind of throws it off for me, but like the way that the wings fold, the overall look and aesthetics of it, I really like the original Airmaster compared to the Burst. If we're talking about transform modes, it's a little bit harder. That's why I'm like, I went with the original Airmaster. Funny enough, I mean, it's kind of weird, like I kind of like villainous characters or whatnot, but like his fighter jet form reminds me of Starscream's look and colors from the original Transformers. So I think it's kind of funny I mentioned Transformers after the whole BBC thing with the Olympics in Japan. Yeah. But I mean, to be honest though, I mean, seriously, he does have kind of the Starscream looks as a, if I remember right, I think Starscream was like an F-15 jet in the original series, and the color scheme too. Any Transformer fan can correct me. I'm not a huge Transformer fan, but I do enjoy Transformers from time to time. But I think this one, the Burst reminds me of Thundercracker, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's what I want to say when it comes to the suit overall. Definitely Airmaster is my favorite suit of the entire series. Purely because it's a transformable suit and has that dual beam rifles. It's a really neat, cool design. I liked it a lot. Well, then there's not that many designs I really liked from Gundam X. A lot of honorable, like a few honorable mentions with the main Gundams being the top tier for my favorites. But yeah. Now, going forward too, let's go ahead and start off with our next little segment here, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I start with Gundam X first? You know what? I'm gonna say just yeah, sure, go ahead. I think you can start off with Gundam X first as your first foray into the Gundam franchise. I say this because it's again kind of like the core '90s Gundam block right there. I think it's a very easily accessible series, not by means of like actually accessing it, but viewing wise, right? It's more accessible viewing wise. As a series that helps you get into the Gundam franchise itself. It's got a lot of action, and then as the series progresses, it really starts following alongside with some of the core elements of the Gundam franchise. And I feel like if you jump into this series and you jump around from any point from after that, I think you're going to be absolutely fine. This is a self-contained story. There is no sequel other than being in a manga format, so you can't go wrong with this series at all. I think it'd be an easy start alongside with a lot of things that came through that mid-90s block. So yeah, definitely if you have this on hand, if you were able to get a hold of it, or someone was lending it to you, this would be a fine series to start off. In fact, it's pretty good. I recommend it. Now, as for an overall, even though Gundam X did get the axe, it is a great and fun show. It takes a fun what-if spin on the Universal Century and then goes completely apocalyptic with the story. While the story can feel rushed towards the end, the main story with the copious amount of action keeps you hooked and enjoying the ride throughout the entire series. It's a crying shame that Gundam X did not get the full time to develop itself. Other than that, even though it was short-lived, After War Gundam X gets that short but sweet 4 out of 5. Yeah, I really did enjoy Gundam X. There wasn't anything wrong with the series. I mean, like, yes, I know some people didn't like it because it's either the pacing or was a little bit awkward compared to the other Gundam series in the franchise. But if you look at it at a holistic standpoint and just, I watch it as a UC fan, a UC elitist, a Gundam fan, and someone who just wants to enjoy watching stuff, right? Watching anime and something fun. Gundam X had everything. I couldn't find anything that I truly disliked with Gundam X, other than the fact that, yeah, the story got kind of a little bit messier towards the end, but it still was coherent, and it followed along with the characters. Nothing didn't make too much nonsense, with the exception of a couple of things like Enel. But other than that, I can't fault this series. It was great. It was really enjoyable. Definitely recommend it if you get your hands on it. At the moment here, the only way you're going to be able to get your hands on this series is through the DVDs or Blu-rays released by Right Stuff. Sorry about that, folks. Now, again, if you haven't already, if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to follow me on my Twitch channel. If you are watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. Did you like this series? Did you not like this series? What did you think about my opinions? Did you think my opinions were garbage? Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? What have you? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. I'm sorry, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm dying here. I'm dying. Oh my lord. Let me do that again. I apologize. Now, with that said, guys, if you haven't already, if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to follow me on my Twitch account. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. Did you like Gundam X? Did you not like it at all? Did you think it was a garbage series? Do you think it's fantastic? Did you like my opinions? Or you don't like my opinions? Did you find something wrong? Do you agree with me? I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. As always, I do want to thank you guys for sticking around and watching this review. And until the next nerdy reviews, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Now, I'm not entirely done, guys. I do want to talk about a couple of things here, but Gundam X was not that bad of a series. In fact, it was a fantastic and fun watch. I wish I could keep going on and watching the next series. I think I'm going to be starting up with Gundam 00. What's that sound? Oh, God. No, I want to watch Gundam X, not this. Please, God, don't make me watch this, guys. Oh, lordy. Sorry, I gotta do something cheesy there again, just like I did in the G Gundam review. But yes, what I have here, folks, is the Gundam Seed series, as requested by family and friends who want to torture me. I dug up, because I kept these actually separate from my Blu-rays. I try to keep, I want to get the whole Blu-ray collection of my Gundam franchise, my Gundam collection. So the only thing I don't have on Blu-ray yet is the Gundam Seed series. I kind of talked about it last week too. I might talk about it a little bit right now, but next week. So I want to kind of preface this for you guys here. I'm going to be doing a twofer, double whammy, if you will. I am going to be watching Gundam Seed. I dug these guys out of my DVD box for you guys to watch and watch me suffer. Well, not exactly watch the series, but watch me review it or have me review it. So I'm going to be reviewing Gundam Seed in its entirety. Good news for you Gundam Seed fans. I have the original voice acting cast here, not like what was for those who are not in the know here, let me just pull it up real quick for y'all too. When it comes to Gundam Seed, so Gundam Seed was re-released by Right Stuff. So what I have on my hand right now, or my lap at this point, is the Gundam Seed Blu-ray. Here we go. So before Bandai did release with through Anime Legends the compilation collection, 2 sets. I have both. I don't have the second one on hand right now, but I do have the second one of Gundam Seed on Blu-ray or DVD. When it was released on DVD, it didn't get remastered. It was the same voice actors. If those of you grew up with the second wave of Gundam and became seedlings, you would have watched this. So it has the original voice actors from that from the series. Now, when Right Stuff acquired the licensing rights to distribute Gundam again, I thought they were going to release it this year. Actually, they released it last year, this Gundam box set, which I am not spending that ridiculous amount of money on Gundam Seed. But what they did was they released the series with a remastered, there was an HD remaster of this series, which is 48 episodes. It cuts out 2 clip episodes from the series. And I think that was the only other difference between the shortness between the original series, which is a 50 episode series. They have a brand new voice acting cast. Now, I had read reviews regarding this, not here necessarily, but I read it on even Amazon because I was thinking about getting the Blu-ray one because the Blu-ray was gonna be cheaper than buying this collector's box set, right? But a lot of I don't want to say fans, a lot of seedlings complained about the voice acting and that it was not as great as the original. I'm not too sure. I'm going to find out in a little bit whether or not this is going to be a good enough series when it comes to voice acting. I have not watched this in over a decade. To what I remember the voice acting being garbage compared to anything else that came out at that time. I know I'm casting a lot of shade on this series, but next live stream, I will talk to you guys in length about my absolute disdain and hatred towards Seed than anything else. I'll give you guys some preface here, and then I'll give you guys some more when I do the actual live stream too. But I did not like Seed at all. I have a lot of hatred for this series, both Seed and Seed Destiny. But from what I understood here, let me just continue where I'm going on here, was that they released it. So this is actually kind of a cool box set, and to be all honest, I would love to get this, like I was mentioning last week, as a fan of the Gundam franchise. I would love to get this. It's just too much. It's way too much out of my, I don't know if I could justify the book and all this other stuff, but I'm like, it's nice that you get both the original dub series, what I have in my hand in DVD, but you get in Blu-ray, so that's nice. Then you also get the HD remastered with the new voice acting cast, so I'm kind of interested to see that. I wish I could see that too, but I can't. And you also get the movies. You can't get me right stuff because I still have the movies. So yes, that was the other thing I want to tell you guys. So yes, next week, double whammy. Or you can say triple whammy too. I'm going to review the Gundam Seed series. All 50 episodes. Then I'm also going to review, I don't have the other two on hand, I have them though, the Seed Special Edition movies. These are the TV movie compilations of the series. And then I'm going to review Gundam Seed Destiny. I don't know how I'm going to cram 100 episodes, and I think these movies are like an hour and a half each. Granted. Okay, so minor lie here. I've already watched Seed. Spoilers, not spoilers. But I'm going to be trying to watch Destiny. I was intentionally cramming more time to watch the Gundam series than not than I intended to, because what's going to be happening 2 weeks from now. That's why I'm doing a double feature, or triple if you want to look at it that way, next Saturday. The following Saturday from here. So can't see my calendar that well. I apologize. Not the 21st, but on the 28th, I'm actually going to be busy helping the wife, so I would not be able to stream that day. I mean, I could technically try and stream later that day, but I think I'm going to be too ragged and too rough of wear to even bother streaming. And it does take a little bit of energy to do this. I'm not saying I'm trying to be a character or anything like that. I just don't want to come off like, all right, and then yeah, this is what I want to talk about. And I'm trying to give an unbiased view on Seed and Seed Destiny, which is very hard because I already have a biased view. And some people are gonna well, Briston, how do you review things if you have a biased view? I can detach myself from my bias because I'm a critic. I can do that sufficiently without without sacrificing myself. That being said, I just want to give a quick preface on my hatred for this series, so you guys have a little bit of a story here, something to sit on, and then I'll definitely retell it, maybe shorter, next Saturday. But I have an absolute awful experience watching Gundam Seed, period. How do I start this? So when this series came out, This came out in like 2002, if I remember correctly, and I was still new to the internet at that point. I I got into the internet world by 2001, and at the time, I remember I was like, coming fresh from Toonami, right? Gundam Wing, Gundam, 8th MS Team, Gundam 0080, G Gundam, all those series, right? And then we come across Gundam Seed being released in Japan, and I'm like, oh my god, cool. And then I hear all over like Gundam forums and everyone who talks about anime and they like Gundam, they'll always keep praising Gundam Seed, Gundam Seed, Gundam Seed. It's so amazing, so awesome, the best Gundam series there ever is. It beats out the original Gundam. Fantastic Gundam series. No other Gundam series compares to it. Let me preface something here for you folks. I'm immune to a lot of things when it comes to films and TV series. I'm immune to, mostly primarily to spoilers. Spoilers has no impact to me whatsoever, unless it's a critical kind of a spoiler where it's like, I'm the kind of person that enjoys the journey, not the end. So I enjoy the journey of watching a movie. I enjoy the journey of a series. That's why when I watch Gundam, I enjoy getting into the characters, like liking the characters. I really do get behind that more so because that's what drives the series for me, at least. Not saying the action does or anything like that, but I really do enjoy like getting to be familiar with our characters and liking our characters because I like to like know more about them and see how they react to these situations and how how it changes them or everybody else and how it impacts. I like that sort of stuff. But spoilers has no impact to me. So if you tell me some character is going to die or this character doesn't live and I'm just starting the series, good luck. You didn't spoil anything for me, but I can guarantee spoil a lot of things for you and it's not going to have any impact to me whatsoever. But what does impact me though is hype. I can't survive against hype. And when I hear hype about a lot of things, I generally come into watching a movie or a series and I get very, very disappointed. Oftentimes, I would say like 7 out of 10 times when something is really, really hyped up for me, it tends to be a letdown. That's why I try to keep myself away from hype as much as possible and just keep it the general stuff like, oh, this is a good series. It's a good series. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll give it a shot. I'll jump into it. Oh man, this is a good movie. Okay, cool. I'll give it a shot. I'll watch it for you. That sort of thing. When Gundam Seed came out, it was really, really hyped up as the grand masterpiece of the entire Gundam franchise. Unfortunate for me, even though it did air in Toonami, I think 2 years later, when the series had ended, it came out, right? It got released on a format. This is not my first foray with Gundam Seed. I mean, purchase-wise. A long time ago, and my foray into bootlegs, because I did not know what bootlegs were. I was I would say I'm a child, but I'm not a child at that point. I'm just a naive teenager, right? Sorry. I had no idea what a bootleg was, but I saw my favorite game shop. They had a bunch of anime. I bought some anime from them before, and then they had some Gundam series. So it's funny enough, I actually have 2 of the bootleg Gundam series that I bought from them because I couldn't find those forever until they got re-released on DVD and then re-released on Blu-ray by Right Stuff. But and that was 8th MS Team and Gundam 0083 if you guys are curious. But they had a box set of Gundam Seed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the newest Gundam series. I gotta get this. It's $80. This is was I 14 at the time? I think I'm 15 at that point. I can't remember. And I'm like, do I buy this or not? Do I sacrifice buying a new PS2 game or do I get this? I've sunk in and I bought it. The Blu-ray or DVD, the bootlegs I had bought in the past didn't disappoint me, and I didn't know. I thought they were actually legit. And so I found out they were bootlegs because then I learned that, oh, wow, so, the different companies were actually selling them. I'm like, wait a second, how come they were different than the ones I bought? Like, it looks so different. Like, this doesn't say Viz. This doesn't say Bandai. This doesn't say Funimation on them. Like, and then learning online. Anyways, that's my experience with bootlegs. Yeah, I was a dumb teen. So, a dumb teen trying to learn and get along with the internet, right? I got the bootlegs of See Destiny. I watched that with absolute glee, only to be dismayed. It was fan subbed, I believe. I feel like it was fan subbed because it was atrocious. I could not understand for the life of me what I was reading for the most part, or what was going on with the plot line. I think I can find a picture of her. There, I saw a picture of her right here, but this is a better picture. So, for an example, those of you who watch Seed or you're a seedling, you know who Lacus Klein is. I knew her as Crisscross. Yes, that's how bad that subbing was. I knew her as Crisscross. Kyra was another one. And Athon, I think, was the other one, or for Athon, and Kyra. Kaguri, it was spelled out like they were trying to enunciate the Japanese, and it was like, okay, that's an example of the names I had remembered. Basically, they were really, really bad. So I was confused, not understanding the series, and I was confused. I wanted to know what was going on. Why did people praise this series so much? I mean, the action looked kind of cool, but I couldn't really understand the plot line or anything like that because it was so crazy. I kind of got an idea between coordinators and naturals, but I just didn't get a whole lot. So I ended up watching no, not watching, I'm sorry. I ended up going to the Gundam forums on GameFAQs. That's an oldie, right? If some of you are aware. And I went to the Gundam forum and I tried to ask for help to, like, hey, could someone tell me what was going on with, and this is me, like, I don't know what I watched, right? I don't know the difference between fan subs or bootleg or anything like that. I'm just a dumb teen that's barely even getting experience with the internet. I just faced ridicule and mockery for the most part. Like, who's Crisscross? Or you know, the girl, she's the singer. She has pink hair and that little thing in her hair. You mean Lacus Klein? Who's Lacus? The girl you're talking about. Are you stupid? And I'm like, I remember that experience online, like remembering that it stuck with my memory for a long time. So it left Seed with a bitter taste in my mouth. I'm like, I was trying to get an understanding what was going on with the plot. They were like making fun of me, saying like I'm stupid and an idiot because I couldn't figure out what the plot was. Like, even a basic fight, I'm like, yeah, but like the subs that I was reading, that's what they called these characters. A lot of what they were talking about or trying to talk about the plot didn't make much sense, and it was the worst experience I've ever had with subs ever. And that's one, like, those are the few times I would ever agree with people who are like subs only, and I will bash subs only. I mean, like, I've seen good fan subs, like anyone who's watched One Piece back in the day to now, you know, a good fan sub. Absolutely. But then there are bad ones out there too. And unfortunately, I happened to run across a bad one that really, really gave me a bad experience. So that was my first foray with Seed. That wasn't my only one. I was really, really pissed off. I get pissed off at a lot of seedlings. And I had a bad experience with watching the series overall. A few years later, Bandai, before they got defunct, in America at least, released this from as Anime Legends, the whole box set, both of them. I quickly grabbed these two back up because I was in the process of grabbing Destiny at the time. And I gave this a second go. I also gave the movies a second go too. Or not a second go, but first go. And I had watched it, and it made more sense to me. However, from what I remember more than a decade ago, I didn't like the English voice acting that everyone kept praising so much. Like, so this was years later, of course, so it had already aired on Toonami. I didn't watch it on Toonami at that point. And a lot of people were praising it, saying like, oh, it's got the best voice acting ever. It's got the best story still. I'm like, okay, I can finally watch this now. And I can finally get myself behind it. I had just finished watching Gundam, the original Gundam, once and for all. For those of you who watched Toonami back then, back when it was released in 2001, you might remember something that had happened in 2001. A day, I would say, will live in infamy for us in the current generation. Be you millennial or boomer or Gen X, I don't care what generation you are, but any of those three generations, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, 9/11 comes into play, right? When 9/11 happened, Toonami pulled the original Mobile Suit Gundam off air. they got up to the Solomon arc and we were almost done with the series, and they pulled that entire series and they canceled it. So I lost my opportunity to watch it. They tried to show it again on Adult Swim, and due to poor ratings, they pulled it again. Never finished it at that point. So it was left up to me to find the original DVDs that were released. I found them all and I had watched them all. Okay, to give you a preface. So after watching them all, and I had gotten my hands on Seed. I apologize, I'm gonna put it right here. Got my hands on Seed. I started to notice a lot of similarities, and now like I have the English voice acting, the plot makes sense to me, I understand what's going on in the story, and I'm like, how come there are a lot of elements that are copying the original Gundam? Why are a lot of people praising this as an original masterpiece or something absolutely great? Stupid young me, I decided to go back to the internet, back to the forums, back to the cesspool of various forums, some that I will mention. And I go, wow, I remember a lot of people were saying that Gundam Seed was a masterpiece. It is absolute garbage. In fact, it rips off of everything that is Gundam, the original Gundam. Why is this a masterpiece? And I had countless of seedlings argue against me. I think some of them had the audacity. I swear to God, I can't tell if it was a troll. I'm pretty sure it was trolling, but I couldn't tell what trolling was back then. I didn't understand that. But someone said, like, well, you know, Gundam ripped off Seed or whatnot. Seed is original. And I'm like, either you're stupid, you never watched the original Gundam, or you must be messing with me. I didn't understand what trolling was back then. Still young, still naive, still stupid about the internet and many other things. So after that, I was convinced that Seed was absolute garbage. That is how it has been since then. I have not revisited Seed since the last time I watched this and the special edition movies. I kind of watched them side by side, kind of. I watched this as this was being released. So I got my hands on the first one, and I think the following month the second one came out, and then the following month the third one came out. I got this one, and then I think 2 months or a month later the second one came out, and I grabbed them both and watched them both at the same time. Sorry. Now, that was my experience with Seed, and a few years later, the Gundam franchise decides to revisit the Seed universe again with Destiny. And I thought, oh man, you know, maybe Seed was a mistake and Destiny will be better, because everyone keeps saying that Seed is amazing, Seed is awesome, Seed is so cool, it is the best sequel that follows up to Seed. Why did I not listen to common sense? Oh wait, I'm a stupid young person. That's right. Silly me. Why didn't I think that it was logical? Actually, I'm trying to think about how old I was. I was not even a teen. I think I was 18 plus, 18, 19 when Destiny came out. So I wasn't even a teen anymore. I was a young adult. And my experience with Destiny was different from Seed, because I grabbed it in this DVD format. In fact, I actually have the special collector's edition, like this huge collapsible, two separate collapsibles for the entire Seed Destiny series. If I'm not mistaken, it's 12 volumes, and I don't think it had a place for the final plus, which is the final episode that concludes everything. When I had watched Seed Destiny, I had watched it as it was coming out. Now, I don't tell you guys this, and it's just out of personal, I don't really watch TV shows anymore because I don't like... I don't mind waiting a day for something to come out. I mind when it comes out a week later, or a month later, or more than that, right? So when I watch a series, I want to watch the whole thing in its completion. I want to binge it. I was binging anime before it became a thing with Netflix. That's how I was watching my anime. Be it from my friends that would give me their anime collections, or I would find downloads or whatnot back in the day. Yeah. or find websites like for One Piece and stuff like that. Although One Piece was an example of a bad example, but it's where I watch episodically. So yeah, that's something else. But Seed, it's kind of weird because I could do this with comic books, but I couldn't do it with anime. And Seed, I think they were coming out. If I remember, Bandai was releasing a volume every month or every other month. I think towards the end they kind of skipped and they foobarred some of the release stuff, and I barely caught some of the windows to get them because I had a couple of the special edition stuff. I had the collector stuff. I was trying, I'm a good fanboy, right? I try to collect everything I can collect. So I watched this, I say episodically, I don't think that's the correct terminology for this, but I watched this as it was releasing every month. And my memory was like a goldfish because I was going through college, I was doing a bunch of other stuff, I was doing film stuff. And so I didn't go back and rewatch episodes. I would buy a volume and I would watch the volume and then put it on the shelf, set it and forget it, right? And my experience with Seed Destiny was like it was very disjointed, and then I complained about Seed having a lot of stock footage. Destiny, if I remember, I think Destiny probably had more stock footage than Seed because I keep blurring the two together. But it was a stock footagey mess. I mean, like, I enjoy my action with my mech, but I don't enjoy stock footage animation. It's like, why am I wanting to watch the same rehash stuff? I want to watch something new, right? The story didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. A lot of the ordeals. I remember there was some actual in production drama between, I think his name is Fukuda. Let me see if I can find his name here. Mitsuo Fukuda, the director. He was the director of the Seed series, and he's the director of this. I believe his wife was one of the writers here. Fun fact, and I'll probably bring this fact up again when I. Oh, this came on. Oh no, I can't remember when the DVDs were released. It says 2004 to 2006. I'm pretty sure the DVDs got released much later than that, or that time frame at least. But I remember hearing about the wife, like Fukuda cheated on his wife or something like that, and caused in-house drama. And one of Fukuda's favorite characters was Kagali, and the way that she was written in this series, she was terribly written, was because the wife was writing her spitefully against her husband and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird, and I feel like in-house drama caused this series to fail too. But either way, it was stock footagey mess, a really weird, lazy story, which also copied from Zeta Gundam, just like how Seed copied from the original Gundam. This copy is Zeta Gundam. Very much kind of like Titans versus Aayug, and copying the 4 storyline with Stella and Shin. By the way, I hate Shin. He is the worst version of Shinji. I think that's why he has a double N to his name, right? Instead of Shin, instead of Shinji, it's Shin. And there's nothing new about this kid. The only thing that's new about him is that he's a whiny, angsty kid that was super frustrating and didn't really develop as a character at all. Sorry guys, I gotta do a quick take here. Yeah, see, I dual wield. Let me make sure I didn't overfeed them. I'm kind of excited about this. Let me double check one last thing here. Gotta clean up after this guy, but I'm trying to get some care mistakes. Unfortunately, those who care, waste mistakes don't count. But he's almost running out of strength and hunger, so there's my 2 counts very shortly. Anyways, continuing again with story time. But yeah, that was my experiences with Destiny. I had finished all of it too, from beginning to end. I didn't like it a whole lot. Now, First and Then was a lot more tech savvy and a lot more net savvy at that point. And lo and behold, I hear a lot of people kept praising about Destiny at the time. There were some people just like myself though, goes like, you guys are crazy because Seed is a mess. Let me tell it to you. And that's basically it. Then became the flame wars on forums between seedlings and everybody else in the Gundam franchise. At that point, it would have been UC elitists, wingers, and just traditional like fans of the series of the franchise. Didn't have to mean like you were factional. My God, there's a war within the factions in the Gundam fandom. Interesting, right? But that was my experiences with Seed and Seed Destiny. I have honestly not watched any of these series for over a decade. So I'm finding it kind of interesting to, as my wife puts it, and a couple of my friends puts it too, you need to rewatch it and have a better opinion about it, because what you have is more, and I don't disagree with them, it's more of a personal bias than anything else. And both viewings were very skewed, right? Where I had I had watched Seed originally as a blob of fan sub mess, and even though I watched it a second time, I was very jaded when I watched the second time around. And when I was critiquing stuff back at that point in my life, I was very overtly critical and not positive, or like not like trying to find positivity, but like I was overtly critical and I was being spiteful as a critic, right? Because of my jaded experience. That's not how you critique things. That's how you should critique things at all, by the way. You should look things again with a unfiltered view and absorb the information despite how you feel about it, right? Or despite the politics around this thing or what it represents or how offensive it could be or whatnot. You got to open your mind and review things or critique things in a much streamlined way, right? That's why I don't trust a lot of critics at this point. Either they're bought out, sold out, or that they're jaded people. They don't like certain things. They're not willing to give it a try. I hate musicals, but if someone wants me to review a musical, I would go like, "Hey, okay, let me go ahead and review that musical, and I'll give it my best unbiased view." And I have. And not to say that I don't hate all musicals. I mean, I love Little Shop of Horrors. Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd. I think it's Tim Burton, right? Or at least, the one with Johnny Depp and Helen Bonham Carter. I love that. Love that movie. It's great. Fantastical musical. I can even throw in something like, what did I just see recently, musical wise? My wife and my friend got me to watch Moulin Rouge for the first time, and I'm like, that's a pretty good movie. Again, I'm still not a huge fan of musicals. They're not going to turn me a whole new leaf, but I enjoyed it, and I can critique it utilizing that critical aspect of film analysis or show analysis, right? The same way I look at the Gundam series. So, spoilers, not spoilers, I did finish Gundam Seed already, so I'm not going to tell you anything I think about it right now. I'm saving that for next week. But I will promise you, absolutely promise you, I'm reviewing this with an unbiased lens. Even though I do still hold bias towards it, I have bitter memories, I am not giving you a jaded view. I promise you. So, what do you guys think that I'm going to say about this? Do you think I'm going to talk trash about this still? Do you think that I'm going to praise it? Do you think I'm going to completely change my ways? Do you think I'm not going to change my ways? So I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. Be dead serious. I was not looking forward to watching this, but then again, I was not looking forward to watching a few other Gundam stuff, such as G Savior and ZZ Gundam. I still watch those, just like I watched Seed. And I am going to be moving forward this week to watch the movies and Destiny. Some of you might go like, well, Briston, if you're watching Seed Destiny, why don't you review the movies too? Not that I don't have time. I only have 2 of the 4 movies. They're actually hard to track down. I probably could track them down for extra money, but I'm not shelling out any more money on Gundam at this point here, because I have almost everything on Blu-ray at this point. So if I was going to buy any more of the Gundam Seed stuff, I would definitely basically purchase the collector's editions. I'm just not buying it for that price right now. I'm gonna wait till like a Black Friday or something like that, because I would definitely pick up this one. And I don't think they have a link to the second one, right? Oh man, where is it? Seriously, they have this up, but they don't have the. Really now? That's so weird. Watch this. Let's go back to the Blu-ray. Oh wait, no, that's not a good idea. Let's do Gundam Blue. Or no, just do Gundam. Do Gundam. Watch this, and then we're gonna go to the Blu-ray because it was on their website. That's how I mean, we looked at it last week. I have not that I bought these on Right Stuff. I either find them or I buy them on Amazon, and I'm not gonna lie about that. There's Gundam Seed. Oh, here we go. Seed. They're the same price, so that's literally gonna run me $500 to get both of these. But the thing is that I want to review things in the chrono. At this point, with UC Century done, I'm reviewing all AU, but I'm kind of following the timeline of when they were actually released. Since you don't need to follow AU in any specific timeline or like order like Gundam, like the UC Century is. So I thought this would be perfect because literally I just finished up the 90s Gundam block with Gundam X. It would only make sense that I jump to the one that's chronologically ordered, which is Gundam Seed, rather than jumping to 00. As much as I hate Seed, my wife and my friends are right about this. You need to shake off that jaded anger and really come at this at a fresh perspective and give it your true critique, not a jaded, angry, biased critique. And I'm like, okay. It's like for you guys, but at the same time for myself, because when I had that conversation with them, I was like, yeah, you guys are right. It's not that I don't have a problem saying I'm wrong or anything like that, but like it is wrong of me to so harshly and so brutally critique it. Like, of course, I'm not cussing right now because I want this on YouTube and I want you guys to be able to watch it. I am a fantastic sailor, so I had some very colorful words to talk about Seed and Seed Destiny. So, all in all, they're not wrong, and I'm not entirely wrong either, because I'm right in feeling the ways I had felt about, my jaded experience and, the viewings I had. But you know what? It's been over 10 years. I have different ways of analyzing stuff at this point and breaking down the things. And I'm pretty sure back then I wasn't picking up on subtle nuances or smaller things between the two series. And as my wife would put it to me, if you're that much of a critique, Kristen, I think it'd be a perfect opportunity for you to give it a second chance and see it from your current lens right now. And I go like, honey, you're right. And a couple of my other friends were they were telling me the exact same thing. I'm like, you know what? You guys are right. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and give Seed a shot. Dug up Seed and started watching. So yeah, next week, you're going to double whammy. I say double whammy. I don't want to say triple because I count the Seed movies with Seed itself. So we're going to do Seed Special Edition movies, Seed Destiny. And if I was actually going to start this up too, I would love to have done this. This is cool. They had the HD remastered, the original SD one, including that, and they also have the 4 special movies. The one thing I talked about last week too is that they had Seed Stargazer, and I'm like, I've never seen Stargazer. In fact, when I was going to review Seed and Seed Destiny, I was going to try and do Stargazer. I don't know if I can squeeze it in. They're shorts, but I think I can find them online. But I would love how to get this box set, just to see it. But I'm like, if I was going to do that, I wouldn't be on time. We wouldn't even be able to review it until much later, much later, because I'm too stingy and I don't want to buy it for that much. But yeah. Besides, I don't know about dropping $225. My wife looked at me like, you hate this series, yet you question how you want to critique it, but you want to buy this series that you hate for $225. What's wrong with you? I hate myself. No. I'm a fan, right? And as much as you're a fan, sometimes you gotta take in the shit with the good. I cussed. Sorry. You gotta take the bad with the good. And I don't know. Part of me is just like I wanna upgrade my entire collection because I do have a lot of the DVDs. Some of them I didn't even have because like I actually did buy Right Stuff's DVD versions of this and Turn A, and then when they released it on Blu-ray, I bought them on Blu-ray because I want the Blu-ray collection. Actually, it's just because the Blu-rays are so much smaller and easier to store compared to DVDs. Especially when some of my DVDs I don't have them in a box set like this. In fact, I have like the original Mobile Suit Gundam in all its volume format, so like the actual singular DVDs. Same thing with Zeta Gundam. I was looking up with some of the series I got from like in the Anime Legends format, so they were in the box set. So it's kind of cattywampus and whatnot. So I got doubles basically, so that's fine. I ran a little bit on my stream here. I know I keep rambling, but I just enjoy the talk. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. And I'm actually gonna close it this time. So being dead serious, but I'm looking forward to fully reviewing Seed and giving it a very fair, unbiased review. Just like I've been doing with the entire Gundam franchise thus far, I've been reviewing everything, taking off any nostalgia goggles, any factors or whatnot. I think some people are gonna say like if I ever hear comments like, "Oh well, you were so nostalgic for Gundam Wing, you probably gave it a 5 out of 5 or something like that because you were nostalgic." And I'm like, it's not really that. I took off the nostalgia goggles because I've watched the series dozens of times and I reanalyze it, and it's like one of those series I keep coming back to, and I'm like, I really, really enjoy it, and I keep picking up something new. And that's something unique about a movie or a series, is that you keep coming back to it, and you find something new about it. And not just finding news about it because you read a trivia about it or you looked it up, but you're looking at a different perspective, or you're seeing it from a different viewpoint, or you're analyzing a different character in a set way. So you could do that with some series and some movies, and sometimes you can't do it at all. So, hey, I try to do the exact same thing with like G Savior and ZZ Gundam. Please don't even get me started on that. God Almighty, it's terrible. Anyways, seriously though, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, follow me on my Twitch channel. If you're watching this on YouTube. Sorry again, guys. Watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. What did you think about my story time about Seed? Did you have a similar experience that I have? Do you really, really like Seed? Were you a Seedling in the sense that you came to the Gundam franchise because of Seed? Were you that second wave of Gundam fans? Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think overall? I mean, I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. I apologize, I got a dry throat. I hope you guys got some fun and some laughs. And I'm gonna try and start doing this little thing, but you know, at the end here, I just want to leave you guys with a little word of positivity, right? Because the world is a mess itself, and it can be very harsh and cruel and mean. Life is like a cruel mistress. I want to quote oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Peter, is it Peter Chen? I think Peter Chen from like Balls of Fury, right? I wanted to quote him. I can't remember that quote specifically about like a cruel mistress or something like that. But yeah, life is terrible at times, and it can be really, really rough. So I want to be, you know, a little bit of a positive voice for you guys too, and a little bit of a cheer up. I think I've already said one thing that I've been hearing too, which is like doing something new every single day. But let me tell you guys this then too. Kind of, I think I said it in a previous one, but I'm not too sure. I don't keep count of these things. I might want to start writing them down so I don't repeat myself. But when it comes to starting to do stuff or whatnot, definitely, how do I put this? You are your own worst critic. And until you're able to understand and accept some of the critical critiques from yourself and not the negative critiques, you're never truly going to succeed. By that, I mean this. We all beat ourselves up for the most stupid things that we do, or even most simplistic things. Rather than just beating ourselves up, we should just listen to our internal voices that are more critical, like, hey, I did this wrong, let me try and get this fixed up. Not just, I did this wrong and I suck. But rather, I did this wrong, this is what I need to do to correct or fix it. Let me go and fix that the next time around. Don't give up. Keep trying. And listen to the critical side of yourself, but don't listen to your negative side. That makes sense. You are your own worst enemy, and if you can defeat that, I promise you, you'll go far in life. So, I just want to leave you guys with that. Take care, love yourselves. Don't give in to the negativity. Keep being positive and being strong within yourself. And if that's really, really hard to say, then you know what? Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me, who believes in you. Because we all have the capability of success. We just gotta believe in ourselves. If not, someone else can believe in us. And I got you guys. Anyways, that's it from here. I am the absolute nerd. You can call me Briston. But again, thanks for watching this live stream, or nerdy live stream reviews. Until the next week, I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you on the next review. Until then, take care.